right now.
Coming up next on Live at 5.
The next steps in the Chad Daybell murder trial as the jury is about to get the case.
Families walking. We hear from police.
Triple murder trial of Chad Daybell in Idaho is about to wrap up. Closing arguments in the high-profile case will take place tomorrow morning.
News specialist Daniel Woodruff has been closely following this case. And Daniel, it's taken a while to get to this point.
Yeah, Ashley and Mike, this trial has stretched on now 9 weeks. We've heard from dozens of witnesses in this case. Now, finally tomorrow, the jury is going to get it and decide the verdict in all this. Chad Daybell is accused of murdering his longtime wife, Tammy, and 2 children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, while he was having an affair with their mother, Lori Vallow. Lori has already been convicted in this same case. Prosecutors say the couple relied on extreme religious beliefs to justify the crimes. The prosecution called their final witnesses in the trial this morning. That included a Rexburg, Idaho police detective who was very involved in the investigation from the time that Lori's children went missing to when their remains were discovered.
Do you recall when the bodies of the children were recovered?
June 9th, 2020.
And where were they recovered?
Chad Daybell's backyard.
Last week, Chad Daybell's defense attorney called witnesses and presented their case. Throughout the trial, the defense has sought to poke holes in the prosecution's story and in how these investigations were carried out. So the jury in Boise, Idaho will be back tomorrow morning for those closing arguments, sometime mid-morning, we're told. And then after that, they are set to begin deliberating. No telling how long it'll take them, but all eyes will be definitely waiting for that verdict to come down in the Chad Daybell triple murder trial. Daniel Woodruff, Live at 5.
Daniel, thank you. The KSL digital team has been on top of this trial since before.
For official identification.
The jury in the Chad Daybell murder trial is about to get the case. Closing arguments are scheduled for tomorrow morning after weeks of testimony and dozens of witnesses. News specialist Daniel Woodruff joined us live right now on what to expect. Daniel?
Yeah, Mike, this trial has stretched on for 9 weeks now, and their final witnesses were called just this morning. Now the jury is set to return tomorrow for closing arguments as we await a verdict in this high-profile case. As the Chad Daybell trial draws to a close, all eyes will be on the jury deciding whether the 55-year-old husband, father, and grandfather is guilty of murder.
I would be surprised if we went into the weekend without a verdict.
Over 9 weeks, prosecutors have tried to tie the religious book author to the killings of his longtime wife, Tammy, and 2 children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, who belonged to his current wife, Lori Vallow Daybell.
It was a long trial, but there were a lot of counts.
As the final witnesses took the stand, prosecutors tried to emphasize key facts in the case about the children and about how Chad's wife, Tammy, died.
What did you determine the cause of death to be?
Asphyxia.
And the manner of death?
Homicide.
Throughout the trial, Chad's defense attorney has tried to poke holes in the case, including today, grilling the Utah medical examiner who conducted Tammy's autopsy.
You didn't go back and look at anything provided to you from the family to give you some concept of what potentially the family history or medical was, correct?
Nothing was provided to me from the family.
Well, nothing was provided, but you didn't ask, right?
KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says this was a tougher task for prosecutors since Chad Daybell did present a defense. His wife Lori did not before being convicted in the same case last year. That's why Skorda says the state took so much time laying everything out.
If you think they sort of overshot the case or put on more than they needed to, it's because they can't leave any stone unturned in a case like this.
Now, if Chad Daybell is found guilty, he could face the death penalty. That same jury would decide that, but separately. The first question they have to figure out starting tomorrow is whether Chad Daybell is guilty or not. Back to you.
All right, we will watch this closely. Daniel, thank you. And we are learning new information this evening about